Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific, we are here to crush it for you, inspire you, share ideas that are working in the market today. We have an incredible special guest today, Tina Beliveau.
Beliveau, but you know what? It's just fine, my friend.
Well, anybody who's watched my interviews knows that I am known to mispronounce names. So thank you for correcting me, and I'll try to get it right, Tina.
All good.
Right on, guys. Well, I've interviewed Tina more times than I can count now. We have a playlist for Realtor interviews. She's mentioned there a number of times. In fact, Tina, I think you are the last Realtor. Well, no, Glenn Bill, I interviewed him once after that mastermind. I think we called it a Realtor collaboration. You remember that?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, guys. I'll put a link down below to both the playlist and the collaboration that we did. It really was one of the best Realtor conversations I've ever had. And we're going to go beyond the transaction with Tina today. Also have Mr. Dan Keller co-hosting this. What's up, Dan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Here's a quick tip how to remember Tina's name. It's Beliveau with an O, kind of pronounce the O for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yes.
Oh.
My husband would love that. I need to.
Yep. That's how I remember it.
Well, I'm gonna work hard to remember that.
Yeah.
So couple reminders in Mortgage Coach land before we get into this interview. I did an incredible interview the same time 7 days ago. We had Amber Kovarik from Chandler, Arizona with Guild. Just a spectacular interview. Whether you're already a Mortgage Coach member and you're just looking to elevate your game, lots of takeaways, scripts. She shared how she is helping move up buyers. And she also showed how she's getting more hours out of the day by doing refis at night. Realtors in her day job, refis at night. And any thoughts on that? I know you watched it, Tina.
Yeah, I took a lot from watching that playback. I think the thing that spoke to me the most on just like my personal values level is what a great job she's doing managing her database, distilling to her top, was that 400 or 600 people, and doing annual reviews and just being so on top of staying in touch with people and providing value and teaching them and being that local market expert, really like their financial expert in a lot of ways. So I was blown away by the care and attention and effort, because I know when you're crushing it just doing loans or real estate transactions, to also do business development on top of that the way she's doing takes a lot of focus and persistence.
No doubt. And I remember you sending me a text. You go, "Hey, do you know any Ambers in my market?" So we'll see if we can find some Mortgage Coach leaders in Baltimore. If you
sure I'll hear from them.
Yeah, well, so here's the deal, guys. If you haven't done over 1,000 TCAs, red belt, like the top of the top, I'm not sure if you're ready for Tina yet. So also, I want to call attention to an article that I posted yesterday. It's called the Playbook for Mortgage Rockstars. And this was taken from an interview I did with Craig Sewing, the founder of the American Dream. And we just came up with a playlist. Like, if you're going to interview people in your local market so that you can be the local market rock star, like Dan Keller, you want to be the most well-known loan officer in your market. We gave you some ideas on how to conduct an interview, so it's a great interview. And we also gave you some steps, I think about 7 or 8 ideas on how to get great distribution of that. Dan, I don't know if you've seen it yet because we just posted it, but any comments on that before we get into the interview?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I saw it. And I'm coached by, I would say I'm coached by Craig Sewing, because I'm in his American Dream, mastermind, and I've gone to a couple of events that he's thrown for us, private events. It's 2 of the best events I've ever been to from a marketing standpoint. But Craig's spot on. I mean, he owns a media company, and it's not necessarily cable driven. He's not paying for eyeballs. He's producing content. So one of the things that from that article, where you guys are so spot on, is build out a YouTube channel and make it a channel of education, for education, interview people. Like, gosh, man, if I was in Tina's market, I would be, even if I didn't do loans with her, I'd be reaching out to her and just say, "Hey, Tina, I mean, you're super credible. You're respected. I'd just love to get your 2 cents on the market. What the heck's going on? How are you selling homes in COVID?" Stuff like that. And then run Facebook ads to it. And then any leads that come in from that, call up Tina. Hey, Tina, hey, I ran this Facebook ad. I spent $85 on this ad or $185 on this ad, and I just got you a $700,000 listing. You think Tina would maybe want to talk business about, with you for moving forward? Because maybe her loan officer's not doing that. So yeah, the article is so spot on. I think 2 years ago, I told you by 2021, I want every real estate agent in the greater Seattle area, not to do business with me, but to at least when they hear my name, go, oh yeah, he's a good loan officer. And I'm still working on that. I've got like 5 months left, 6 months left. So it's just spot on. Read the article, study the article, and then implement the steps in the article.
Thank you, Dan. Guys, this is an article that's going to evolve. I am going to edit this as we come up with new ideas, as we can make it tighter. So it's just a resource for the mortgage coach community. If you want to be a rock star, and when I define a rock star, super well-known, super respected in a local geographic market, if that's a goal of yours and you want to do interviews, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook Live, whether it's for your YouTube channel, if you're going to interview people, this is a resource. So please give us feedback on it. If there's anything you see missing, let us know what it is, any fine tuning. This will be a living document to help the mortgage coach community crush it when it comes to being a local mortgage rock star. All right, let's get into our interview with Tina. Tina, I'm gonna just kick it off. For folks that don't know who you are, just tell folks a little bit about your market, a little bit about your real estate practice and some of the principles that guide you. And then Dan and I will just go back and forth on pulling out all the nuggets.
Okay, awesome. So thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So I am in the Baltimore market. Our team touches most of the state of Maryland. So if you have a need in Maryland, we can either help you or point you in the right direction. So I've been an agent since 2005, and the evolution of my business has just been like a couple different chapters. I was a solo agent in the first chapter of my career and built my business by referral, did very little other marketing or tactics, just because I am somebody who is a community builder and very relational and not too salesy. I kind of am in my own way because I'm very enthusiastic, but I never really resonated with prospecting. So that has been my bread and butter for 15 years. And over time, my business evolved, my database grew. And as I did more transactions, obviously my business just kind of built on itself. And then in 2013, I had kind of hit my personal cap of how much I was working. I was doing about 50 to 60 transactions a year with a full-time assistant, and was just feeling that burn of there's got to be a better way. And that was when I got introduced to some great people and concepts and training and decided to formally build a team. And then things grew really fast. And that was actually right around that point in my career when I connected with you and Dan. And we built our team from me and one admin to about 8 of us. And we went from about 50 to 175 transactions a year over a 2-year period. So it was like some hyper growth, really fun and exciting. Learned a lot, started to learn a lot more about leadership and business operations besides kind of just selling real estate. And also had the opportunity to have my database grow a lot and really finesse our social media strategy, which we'll get into today. And then from 2016 to 2019, an opportunity arose to build and lead a brokerage. So I ended up building and helping to grow and develop first one Keller Williams franchise that turned into 3 franchises. We launched from nothing and eventually had over 500 agents in a 3-year period, 3 locations. And that was also just tons of learning experiences about recruiting, leadership, helping people sell more real estate, and kind of taking a lot of what I know and helping other agents, which is a huge passion of mine. And then at the end of 2019, it was time for the next chapter of kind of getting out of that management track, which I loved, but realized that I would rather just run my own business and be a lot more entrepreneurial than I had been in the franchise system, and went back to running my team and joined eXp Realty at the beginning of 2020, and am part of a network of awesome agents. We have over 500 agents on our network already. So I'm back to the kind of the ground level of rekindling some stuff in my team, because being in leadership for a couple years, some things changed with my relationship maintenance quality. So I'm in this great spot to share what the next chapter looks like of developing relationships through referral during COVID, no less. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, I love that story. And Dan and I both met Tina at Sales Mastery in 2015. She was introduced to me by Bill Hart because he had interviewed you for his interview series. He's like, Dave, you need to meet her. And we've become friends. Dan, anything you want to pull out of that, or any first questions you want to lead into?
Oh man, it's so good. And I love it. It's like being able to sit down with someone. And of course, Tina, you're not 60 years old, 70 years old, but it's for me, it's being able to sit down with someone that's already gone through business and in life and has a ton of wisdom. And I mean, for you, what you've just done in, what is that, 10 years, 15 years, much like pretty similar to me, except with the running 500 agents. I mean, that's awesome. But no, it's super educational because listen, you found what you really want to do. You thought it was leadership. I was there too. 2 years ago. I thought it was like, I want to run this big branch and make all this money off of other people. And I'm like, it ain't worth it. Other people's problems all day long. What if I just focused on building me and originating more loans and closing more loans? The profit's in the dollar. The closer you are to the transaction, the more money you're going to make, right? And so I love it. The one takeaway I have for a lot of loan officers listening, Tina said in 2013, her database finally grew from a lot of hustle from 05 to 13. Right now, we have an opportunity to close an unbelievable amount of refinance volume. Pay attention to that. Grow your database right now. If you've missed the mark over the last 5 or 10 years, start taking care of your new people that you're refinancing right now and really take great care of them and manage your database correctly. You get a do-over, you get a mulligan, if you will. And that was the number one aha right there. Your database grew, and then you're back to square one, doing it all over again right now, which I absolutely love. And there couldn't be a better time with social media. It's going to be easier now than probably in 05, right?
Absolutely. There's a foundation to build off of. And then with COVID, I mean, everybody's been forced to embrace so much digitally. I know that was mentioned in the interview with Amber last week about, keeping consultations on Zoom way post-COVID and all of that. And I feel the same way, that we just have this entry point to be more efficient and technological than before, which has been so good for our business in countless ways.
Yeah, no doubt. So when I did that first interview with you, and what you spoke about from stage was how you were using Facebook. And I want to make today's theme beyond the transaction. So describe your, the community. You also said, I'm a community builder. And I know that includes social media, that includes your database. So why don't you describe what community is to you?
Yeah, I don't know where this comes from, but I guess, we all have our talents and passions. And ever since I was a little girl, I was always planning events and parties. So for whatever reason, I just love getting people together in various contexts and creating experiences for them. So I think what I've realized is I was kind of stepping back from everything I've been doing that I just referenced and was like, okay, how am I going to have this next chapter of my career come from my natural abilities and be as effortless and authentic and fun and joyful as humanly possible? And what I kept coming back to is the way I built the brokerage and the team before that was bringing people together, creating value, creating small groups, big groups, large events, little parties, and just helping people feel like they're part of something special. So that's just my thing. And I know that may not apply to everybody who watches that, but I would encourage you to think about what do you just do that maybe doesn't have anything to do with your business, but you love it and you find a way to make it have something to do with your business. I feel like that's just a great way to grow. So for me, coming kind of back into the day-to-day of my team and being like, okay, what am I going to do? That was January. And then, COVID started 2 months later. It's, for me, before we were limited to pretty much digital stuff only, I typically had between 6 to 12 client events every year, friended every client that I ever worked with on Facebook. And now I follow people on Instagram as well, if I can find them on either platform, and just kept in touch personally. And then I'd actually thought about creating a private client group, like a private Facebook group for a long time, and hadn't pulled the trigger. I had this limiting belief that it would stink, or that maybe I would only be inspired for the first month and then it would just fall off and be like a flop. And I also had this like nervousness that, you know, my clients all know me and my team, but they don't know each other. So I was like, do people really want to be like lumped into a group with people they don't know? And then once COVID happened, we were about to do our big best event of the year in March. We usually do this like luxury event at this like jewelry store, give away all this cool stuff. And then it was clear that, you know, that wasn't going to happen. And I was like really disappointed and kind of like, man, like that this is the last thing I needed when I needed to like tap back into relationships and get back, you know, face to face with people. And then I was like, it just hit me. I was like, okay, I need to dive in and make this Facebook group. I am nervous about it, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And I am a grown up. If people hate it, they can leave and I'll be fine. And so will they. So, so I launched the group in March, I believe, or it might've been early April. Once I finally kind of built my vision out for it. And then, and we can kind of dive into maybe some details in a second, but basically that's been my springboard for this year of cultivating. There's only like 240 people in it as of right now, because when you invite people to a group, they have to accept. And I invited probably, I don't know, 800. So 200 some accepted. And I was like, great, these are the people who want to engage. So I'm going to engage with them. And then I've just been building off of that in a whole bunch of ways ever since then, and experimenting, and it's been really awesome. So that's kind of my channel for that right now. And then I'm continuing my regular social media presence of posting and engaging with people personally. And then I've also added some other changes this year to keep it fresh. So that's my community thing in a nutshell.
Tell me if this would be a good description of your community. At the core of it now, as of today, you have this Facebook group. That's your business family and community. And then around that, you have all these communication channels. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, and you even have your database, which is a combination of email and text surrounding it. So you've turned your Facebook group into the hub, the most valuable place for you to put your energy, your value, and your love. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And if you think of just like a big funnel narrowing down, we have a lot of channels. We have my personal Facebook profile. We have a page. I have an Instagram for me. I have an Instagram for my team that I've been putting more energy into, LinkedIn, and then our CRM, emails, etc. And then we've put some systems in place to make sure people systematically get invited or re-invited to the private group a couple times, so that we're maximizing them understanding that it's a place for resources. And I even have a little pitch that's like, don't worry, this is not a marketing channel. It's a place where you have direct access to Tina 24/7. And, you know, it's a lot more comfortable to post something in a group sometimes than to even like email someone and feel like you're bothering them. So people have liked, I'll show you guys at some point, but people post in there and they've engaged, and it's been great. So yeah, we've narrowed it down, and I think it's really important to keep the top of the funnel really big and amazing too. But now I have leverage. I can keep in touch with 200 people with one post, whereas before I didn't have that.
Love this. So someone just posted, drop a link to the Rockstar article. We'll get that to you. I want to give a few tactical takeaways to the mortgage coach community, because I interview a lot of top producers, and I am hearing more and more loan officers that have a Facebook group for agents. I haven't heard from lenders that they have a Facebook group for clients. I'm not, if you are doing that, you're a mortgage pro and you're killing it. I would love to, hear if that's working. But I think it's safe to say it's a great strategy for realtors. I've heard of a number of realtors that are doing it. I do recommend mortgage professionals take this interview, share it with your agents, because I think they're gonna think this is smart. Whether they execute it or not, they're gonna get value from this. Dan, any questions you want to ask Tina at this point, or any takeaways you've heard?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. The private group. I mean, I just took a note. I have one. It's the Dan Keller VIP group. So blah. Don't pay attention to it. I got excited about it probably a year and a half ago. Posted a couple of times in it. Had my assistant invite everyone. And I think what happened was exactly what happened. You mentioned you invited 800 and something people, and 200 or 150 showed up. That's what happened to me. And I'm like, well, my people don't like me. I mean, and then I just kind of got defeated and I didn't do it. I think like 80 people showed up. And that's a big mistake in my business, because what would have happened if I continued to grow that and add value to that group? So I think it's brilliant. I'm going to do this today. Literally, I'm going to go build that out. I'm going to change the name, because a private Dan Keller group, who cares? But something about being beyond the loan or making sense of the market, something like that. So I think that's huge.
Let me throw something in, because I think the strategy for a mortgage professional, I don't think you want to say I'm the captain of the wealth team, but I think you want to approach your group as, I am going to help you build wealth with real estate.
Yep.
And if you want to build wealth with real estate, get in my group. And I would let CPAs and financial planners in. I would let, all the advisors that surround a family for wealth get in that group. And then it would be part of my value prop. Hey, clients, I've got this group, if building wealth with real estate,
Yep.
which doesn't necessarily mean buying investment rental properties. It means just being smart about building wealth with real estate. So there's a thought for you, Dan.
Yeah. One other thing that I would just throw out there to Tina, and you can use this or be inspired by it, or just say, hey, it's working for my wife, Jenny. I know you know Jenny, and COVID has completely, I'm listening to you go, my giftedness, your giftedness, you're saying, is planning events, creating experiences, being you, fun and joyful, 6 to 12 events a year. You're my wife. That is Jenny Cookie's business, right? In her cookie world, right? In her influencer world. COVID hits. None of that can happen, right? She's destroyed. She's down. So what Jenny did right away is she started Monday Night Live on Facebook with the baker and the banker. And I'll tell you what, every single Monday night, regardless of the mood that she's been in, it hasn't always been great. We might be fighting over the weekend and fighting Monday morning, but we get on together every single Monday night at 6:30. And I'll tell you what, one, it's kind of been that little beacon for her that's kind of kept her going in the right direction. Two, she's getting a great interaction, and the people literally go, I don't watch TV on Monday nights. We watch the baker and the banker. And
Wow.
so she just bakes something. It's something simple that you can do with your kids. Last night we did an ice cream cake. Anyone can make that, and she didn't develop it, right? And so maybe doing something like that, we're in lieu of your events right now, because you light up the room, whether you're, on Zoom or you're on stage at Sales Mastery, or I'm sure I've never been with you in Maryland, but just something like that. I'm just throwing that out there. It's working good for Jenny. And I'm sure someone like you, who shares a lot of the same talents as Jenny, it would work incredibly well for you.
Thank you. It's funny. One thing that's still in my plan for the group that I didn't implement immediately was doing weekly interviews inside the group, or maybe even doing them on my public page. But to get into the wealth building topics, like Dave, when you were just saying that a minute ago, it's like my heart lights up every time people get into that subject matter, because I just think in our business world, we do get to be privy to those conversations a little bit, but our general client databases, no one in their life is coming to them and saying, hey, I want to help you build wealth. Let me check your interest rate. Let me make sure that you're not missing a couple obvious, simple things you could be doing to further your family's well-being. So I was planning on interviewing people weekly about that kind of stuff. And it was the feeling it, you have to show up for video, whether you feel like it or not. So it's that commitment. I'll take the challenge.
What did you think about Amber's refi or move up story, where she was telling that total cost analysis? Did that resonate? Is that something you'd want a loan officer to do in your community?
My gosh. With my selfish realtor hat on, I'm talk about doing something. It's basically the annual checkup, or just doing that ad hoc as people need or inquire. But if somebody was going through my database and doing that for me, and finding leads for me, and taking care of my people as a clear partner and collaborator, there's literally not anything more valuable I can think about that a loan officer could be doing for me today than working through our shared past clients and then asking them for referrals, maybe just being, cool about it, but but just adding value and making sure that people know we're a resource and that we want to be there for them and want their referrals.
Did you guys hear that? She literally said, there's nothing more valuable a loan officer could do for me right now than going through my database and looking for opportunities and effectively asking for referrals. So what a huge takeaway for the mortgage coach community. I can't emphasize enough how much you guys master the move up conversation, because there's a lot of people with a lot of equity in homes, and there's a lot of people that want a different home than the one they've been quarantined in for the past 4 months. So become a master of that conversation. So Tina, let's make sure we get into your community. Why don't you, first of all, if you don't mind showing us, like, I'd love for you to show it to us and just walk us through how are you adding value and how are you building community with your Facebook group?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and just share the screen, and I'm going to show you guys the group. So I am only letting clients in here, but feel free to reach out to me through other channels, and I'm happy to share anything. I've done some things that worked. I did a couple things that were flops. So it's all just a big experiment, is always my feeling about marketing. So this is the group. Title-wise, we call it the Beliveau Group's client community, which again, it's less the Tina show and more about like you're part of this broader community. So I think that's resonated. If you guys are thinking about names, feel free to just do a similar version. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys some different things that I've done. So first thing is we are doing this weekly wheel spin. So one way that I've kept the group interesting to people is by giving stuff away. So I'll scroll a little further and show you guys. Here's another video of us spinning the wheel. So basically I got this idea from another agent in my market, David Orso. I got a wheel on Amazon and put a bunch of local restaurants. I also made sure we included a lot of minority and female-owned businesses. And then every week for the whole summer, I'm spinning the wheel. We pick a restaurant, and then every single person who's in the group, I have their name in a bowl, and every week I pick a different winner. And I actually don't tag the winners right away, so people have to like watch the video to see who was picked. It's just my little trick. So out of 200 people, to be seen by 144 in the group is really good engagement with the way Facebook works. So again, this is like a smaller number, but it's my curated group. So I try to integrate other team members. This is my colleague with her new puppy. So we try and be fun, really personal. I dress pretty casual half the time. I've just embraced the COVID world. And I feel like we've brought like a lot of authenticity and like just personal connection back to the dynamic with our database. So that has been go ahead.
How many people in this group total?
We've got like 244 right now, I think, or something like that.
So guys, think about it. You've got 244 people. That means one, they're playing the Facebook game. They're connected with you. And then look at that, 144 people had gotten that touch point on their device. So it's like where they're getting news, where they're doing life, where they're connecting with family and friends. There's Tina. So make sure you show this to your agents. This is hot.
Yeah. And so we do a bunch of different stuff, like probably almost everybody across the country, we have an inventory shortage. So we've been doing like off-market calls to action. I've put together 2 deals so far that were just through my network of I have a buyer who needs this. And someone was like, actually, I was thinking about selling my house in that neighborhood. So, so that's something that we've been doing. A lot of clients post and ask for contractor recommendations, which is great. So they've started to use it as a resource and like think of it as a go-to. They were not texting me as often. Like I'm certain that the group has created more kind of comfort and fluidity with people reaching out for connections and suggestions. So more wheel videos, promoting the wheel, people have fun in the comments. And then I'll show you guys just a couple other things. Again, several contractor requests. Our team got one of those Real Trends awards. So I try not to do much bragging in here, but once in a while, if it's something really compelling, we make sure to thank them and let them know that they're the reason we're successful. And then I've done some other giveaways. So the giveaways I feel really strongly are what has created a lot of, here I am, in like workout clothes talking about the winner of a feng shui room makeover. My client donated this. I started to have clients reach out and be like, hey, you want to give away something to my business? Which I always had a vision of doing that like small business interactivity and had never launched it. And again, Facebook is just leverage because I don't have to ask, people are just offering and it's all happening pretty organically. So I've put some market updates in here with like easy to digest statistics, couple holiday greetings. This is another off-market call to action. We use Canva for all of our design. It's so easy. And And then I'm just going to scroll back. Oh, this was a really silly one. So I just had pieces of candy in a jar, and we got so many guesses to win a gift card. And then this is a video of me counting the candy. Like, yeah, so just a bunch of comments and interactivity. So people love the giveaways. And then we did a trivia night event. So we promoted the event in the group and also through email channels, and then did trivia on Zoom. And then I did a wrap up. And, you know, like everything with Facebook, the cool thing about groups is you can't see this on your personal posts, but like, yeah, I only had 9 likes and 13 comments, but it was seen by 164 people. So I just think that's like a cool data point. Like, so many people never interact with our stuff, but they're totally looking, and we're getting that marketing message across. We also did an event with a economist who did a state of the economy speech through Zoom that I also live streamed, because you can screen share a Zoom into a Facebook group. If you guys don't know that, well, that's probably what's happening with this right now, but I use that tool a lot. And then the last thing I'll talk about is the Bonanza. So this is basically the end result, just to show you what happened. I gave away money. So basically, when I decided to launch the group back in March/April, I was canceling that big event, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, you know, of all the things I could give away right now, this was right when COVID had just started, and I was like, people need cash. And normally we spend a couple $1,000s on our client events, even after sponsors help us out if we're doing like our bigger, like highest end type of events. And I was like, why don't we give away cash? And then we ultimately decided to give out 3 $500 prizes, and we tied everything together. So basically it was a 2-week bonanza, and I invited people to the Facebook group to say, hey, we're doing something exciting, join the group. So I kind of forced them into the group, if you will, created buy-in, promoted the bonanza in there a lot. Then I found this software to run it. So basically we created incentives for people to do all the things that we wanted them to do. And the sweepstakes software we selected was really awesome. So you could log in, and there were like 10 different ways to accrue points. You could fill out a form and update your contact info with us for our database, which was huge leverage because my database had gotten somewhat messy with me being kind of out of the picture for a while with the day-to-day of our admin. You got points for filling out online reviews. You got points for giving us referrals. So there were so many ways to enter over and over again. And it created tons of excitement and anticipation in the group. I posted updates, videos, shouted people out. And then at the end, I did a live drawing for the winners, and like tons of people were on it. Like I scheduled it. It was like a Saturday at 1 o'clock. Everybody was watching. And then I went and delivered those enormous, goofy Publishers Clearinghouse style checks, took socially distant pics, and just the outpouring of excitement around that was great. And then we also achieved creating excitement in the group, and then also cleaning up our database all at the same time. So I encourage you guys to find some version of a bonanza for even like as a loan officer to facilitate something like this. Like if you're good at technology, part of this whole thing was just setting up the bonanza software and promoting it. Like if that's your gift, or you have someone in your staff who could help with that, to help a realtor do that, again, like a great way to just be their leverage and support and doing something really unique with their clients. I don't know anyone else who's doing this kind of thing right now.
Would you like it if Dan Keller said, hey, once a month, I'm going to tell a story and explain a strategy that would help a homeowner build wealth with real estate, and maybe talk about the cost of waiting? Hey, are you on the fence if you should move up or not? Would that be valuable for a loan officer to bring that kind of story and that kind of strategy?
100%.
Hey, Dan, you know, I had you on that panel at the CLMA event a couple of weeks. Well, first of all, on Friday, I had you as my special guest on Friday. Would you mind, just so people can kind of connect the dots on a story and a strategy that might be valuable to an agent on social media?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it on both panels. I think the importance of it is one of the things that I'm doing right now to stay connected to my realtors during COVID and this refinance boom we're in, is I'm calling them and I'm asking them for any leads that they have that are non-responsive right now. And I'm showing them this report. And what we're doing is we're sending this out to first-time home buyers, people that are thinking about waiting, people that have received some poor advice from coworkers or parents. I have a slide at every single one of my home buyer classes, and it says, and I kind of make fun of it, but it's titled, "But my dad said ... And then from, stage, I say, listen, we all love our moms and our dads, but oftentimes they're not equipped to, at this point in our life, to give us the right answers. And that's why you need to lean on pros. And I can't tell you, I can probably count on two hands over the last, I would probably say 6 months, where I've talked with a first-time home buyer. And in Seattle, they're making a $700,000 to $1 million decision buying a home, some of these first-time home buyers. And they're like, I just, I want to buy. We're considering buying. We're paying, $2,600, $3,000 a month in rent downtown Seattle. But I talked to my dad over the weekend, and my dad said the housing market in Seattle is going to crash. It's overinflated. The economy is going to crash. So wait until next year to get a deal. And I think the average loan officer is going to take that and say, okay, well, hey, I'll stay in touch. And let's reconnect in a year, and I'll call your realtor and just let them know that we had this conversation. Bye, right? Move on. I've taken it a step further and just said, tell me more about what you're feeling in regards to a housing crash or an economic crash, because I agree with you. I believe that there is some inflation in the market right now, housing up here in Seattle, as well as in the economy, the stock market. But I said, let's talk about that real quick. Because, I have money in the stock market. I have plenty of money in the housing market. And I'm connected to some really smart people, economists and financial planners, real estate investors that help me make smart decisions with my money. So let's talk about this real quick. And then I'm able to show them a report like this. It says, okay, let's say the market crashes in Seattle. Let's say it goes down 10% next year, which highly unlikely. You and I, Tina, I know you're not from Seattle, but the market to crash in Seattle by 10 to 20 to 30%, probably unlikely. It would take something massive, something substantial. But let's say, for example, we wait 6 months to a year. Home values go down by $50,000, $60,000. Today's interest rates are 2.625 on a 30-year fixed. A year from now, inflation's going to hit the market. We may have a different president. Everything could change. Guess what? These nice low interest rates are going to be gone. They're probably going to go back to where they were pre-COVID. Not way up, but right about where they were pre-COVID, which was 4.125. Let's say that happens. You're going to pay almost $200 more by thinking you're getting a deal and waiting. And I let them see this, and we can have a conversation about it. Let's take it a step further and say, hey, maybe your dad is right. There's going to be a massive crash, and home values are going to drop by $100,000, which, again, between you and I, not happening in Seattle. But let's say they do. The third column says we wait even longer, and homes drop by $100K. At that point, and assuming rates stay at 4.125 as they crash, at that point, $31.47 for a total monthly payment, $32. So you're saving a little bit of money, but by the time you factor in paying down your mortgage, all the other great factors, IRS tax refunds, it's almost a wash. So home values would have to drop $100,000 for your approach, your dad's advice to be true. Now, do you think that will happen? And I just put it back on them, show this report to your father, have a discussion, and then maybe we can do a Zoom call, or maybe we can connect.
What are your thoughts on that one, Tina?
I just love it. I was sort of like leaning in and just looking at the graphic closer because it just breaks it down so well. And you're just cheeky, Dan. So yeah, show this to Dad. See what he has to say once you actually show him the numbers.
Yeah, without calling your dad a fool.
Yeah. But I think just helping people understand the bullet point of the savings and just demonstrating it. So it's just, this is an invaluable tool. Invaluable.
So Mortgage Coach community, we're going to cover the cost of waiting and the move up analysis tomorrow, Wednesday at 11 o'clock in our weekly Mortgage Coach strategy class. So every Wednesday, 11 o'clock, we're teaching you how to be a black belt in mortgage advice. And you are not a black belt if you can't do a cost of waiting or you can't do a move up. And you need to be able to do that today. So Tina, what questions should we be asking you right now? Just knowing how your building community, how you're crushing it. You know, what else are you doing and what haven't we asked you that we need to learn?
Yeah, I was just looking at like, what did I remember I wanted to cover? I think the only thing I'll say that is very simple, but might be relevant for anyone who watches this now or later, whether you're in the LO hat or a realtor. I have re-embraced mail and getting back to some analog communication, just because we were really email and social media heavy. And I think, you know, the reality is a lot of people have actually stopped looking at social media this year because there's so much that's just not happy in social media half the time. And then with algorithms, email delivery, etc., I just was like, you know what? Like, I know that a lot of people aren't seeing my stuff, or they aren't seeing it nearly enough. So I decided to do a couple things. One of my missions this year was to find a lot of new software and try and have things integrate as much as possible, or just be less manual. Like, we used to handwrite personal notes to people forever. I was the biggest handwritten note advocate. And at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to look again and see if I can find some software to automate this, just because that's where I'm at with it. So I ended up finding this great platform that just so happened to combine some different things. So I've automated birthday cards, home anniversary cards, which is a great touch point. People text me about that more than their birthday cards a lot of the time. I'm now sending a postcard to our database every month, anybody that I have an address for. So again, we just weren't doing any of that. We used to send mail, but we would like assemble and do labels and the whole thing. And now I'm like, okay, let's just be simple. Let's send postcards. They're easy. They're super affordable. And then I also decided to start working to incentivize referral behavior even more aggressively than I had been for a while. So this same software that I'm referencing, I've set up templates so that we can gift people at the critical touch points that we want to reward. So if they send a referral, I send them brownies and a card immediately. I send them another gift if it closes as a follow-up. And then we're also dropping gifts to clients in the mail through this service when they go into our database for the first time, if and when they sign a listing or a buyer agreement, and again, when they go under contract. And then we do kind of our normal closing gifts separately, but we're basically just mail dropping people treats, brownies, cake bars, popcorn, and they love it. They post about it on social media. They tag us. And again, we used to pop by and drop stuff off, but between that just being a hassle and COVID, I'm just all about mail now. So that's something that has reinvigorated and got a lot of attention. And it's simple, but very, very effective, especially if you feel like you're just having email or social delivery fatigue with your contacts.
So I've gotten questions in both Zoom and Facebook. People want to know what platform you're using for automating your thank yous.
Yeah, it's called Banner Season.
Banner Seasons?
Yeah, I'll drop the link here. But yeah, that's what it is. And I actually have become a huge Banner Season aficionado, just because it's the first thing I found that solved all the problems I just outlined for you. I used to like pay people hourly to like write notes for me, all kinds of stuff. So it's just been my place to centralize everything. And I do maintain like a little Banner Season mastermind for people who sign up. So if anyone wants to ask me about that, it's been a great thing for us, and it's just streamlined all of that operational stuff.
And what about gifts? Is it the same platform for gifts as personal thank yous?
Yep. And I did used to use send out cards, which somebody just asked about, but Banner Season is just, it works better for me. It's faster, it's cheaper. It's very cost efficient, which is one of my many passions. So,
love it.
High ROI.
Not to go off topic, but multiple people have just asked, what are some of the best ways a loan officer can serve you, and what questions should they ask as they're approaching you? So any advice you have there for the mortgage coach community?
Yeah, I think the first thing that kind of comes off the top of my head is I'm like a little bit of a unicorn in that I'm more operationally savvy than a lot of real estate agents who are much more just like people oriented and are never going to get something like Banner Season going or plan a bonanza. So I think that anybody who has the skill set or an assistant or team member to maybe help a realtor implement any of the ideas that I gave you today, that's a huge value add. Like if I had somebody who was co-facilitating my Facebook group with me, adding just as much energy, commenting on my posts so that everything gets higher engagement, doing the interviews for me every week. I mean, we could go really aggressive with how much somebody would do for me, but like there's a lot of opportunity there. Helping somebody run a contest, plan an event, even setting up some software like this, you know, you could certainly probably get an account for banner season or anything like it and share the account and co-facilitate it together. I just think all that co-marketing, there's a lot of opportunity there. And it's not always about, like, everything I just said to you is either free or very, very minimal. It's not about getting somebody to write me big checks. It's literally adding energy when, you know, again, kind of going back to the point Dan made about like some weeks you feel like doing the videos, some weeks you don't. But when you have teamwork and you can kind of, I don't know, complement each other's waves of inspiration and availability, that is huge. And that's what helps me be more consistent, is having somebody else who can add to the entire picture so it's not all on me.
Would it be safe to say that that fits under the category of a loan officer that's bringing value beyond the transaction? Like most loan officers are about rate, payment, closing on time, transaction. And you're saying, if you come to me and say, hey, I'm going to help you add more value to your customers. I'm going to help. Here's an idea that another agent is doing. I can help you execute on this idea beyond the transaction. So
yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And then one other thing I would add just to what we had talked about before of like calling through our mutual clients. Like if a loan officer were to say, hey, I have a list of everyone I've ever worked with that you've referred me. Oh, and I also have a list of all the people that didn't convert. I'm going to follow up with them too. And then I also have my, oh gosh, what's the word? Sort of your leads that are not affiliated with any specific realtor. And I would call it like an orphan lead. Like I'm also going to do, you know, I'm going to reach out to this set of 50 people who I have relationships with that isn't connected to anybody. Like, and I'm going to, you know, do all that, report back, and hopefully bring you some business. Like, I think I've always wondered why, gosh, I hope no one I've worked with watches this, but like, I've always wondered why most loan officers just, they never cultivate past clients. Maybe they have like an auto email that goes out on their birthday or something. It's not hard. And I do it too. But again, if we're team working it and the client's like, wow, like Tina and loan officer Jane or Jim, they're still contacting me 4 years later and they save me money on my refi. Like it just helps my business so much.
So guys, that is the takeaway of the day. You notice when she started, why did she like Amber's interview so much? She really respected that, hey, she's got these 1,600 past customers, but she's got these A's, these 600 that she's doing annual reviews for. So you guys heard it, like top realtors like Tina, they respect loan officers that are doing powerful, consistent, unique things for retention. And then they can help Tina with her retention. Tina, are you familiar with, I know you're familiar with Mortgage Coach and how important an annual review is. Are you familiar with HomeBot or House Happy? Have you heard of either one of those platforms?
Yeah, so I actually demoed HomeBot earlier this year and I'm about to launch it along with some other stuff. And it's so funny. My husband, bless him, he is just not that interested in the industry or marketing and all my little ideas. So he looks at my stuff, but you know, half the time it's out of obligation. But I put him on HomeBot, and let me tell you, does he open that email every month? He loves seeing it, and he just loves seeing like the little changes, and like he'll even be like, oh, I got that HomeBot email, and I'm like, really? Like that's what spoke to you out of me pouring my soul into this Facebook group and everything I do. So I think it's a great tool to have in your arsenal. And I don't know what your guys' opinion are on the data accuracy, but I think it's better than not sending anything, and it can get conversations going, in my opinion.
Well, it came up in the interview with Amber and a lot of top producers in our community. That's how they're going beyond the transaction. Mortgage Coach for annual reviews, HomeBot for that monthly equity reminder, and then House Happy, kind of a house home concierge. I think Amber did a really good job of sharing some scripting around that. So guys, we are at 10 minutes. If you have questions for Amber, I'll keep an eye and moderate those, and I'll bring them into the community. Dan, I'm going to hand it off to you. I'm going to look for stuff from the mortgage coach community, but what questions do you have, or what takeaways do you want to highlight?
Yeah, this is so gold, so much gold here. And sometimes loan officers need to have things repeated to us to get it. So let me repeat this real quick. You just had a super organized, structured, top producing realtor, which 99% of them aren't like this in the market, tell you how we could be of value to her, right? So I heard if I was in your market, or if I was your loan officer, you literally just told me, like, we were out for a drink or we were out for coffee, how I could add more value to your business. And if I was your loan officer, I literally would build out a way to go back and connect with every single one of the clients that we've worked with. And if we haven't worked together yet, I just heard that you have an incredible private group that if you could build out a Monday interview with a financial professional that could, because you lit up when Dave was talking about us being contributing to building our clients' wealth. What if I booked you a financial professional every single Monday for the next year at 6:30 on Monday night? We went live. I helped you set up the camera equipment, the audio equipment, helped you stream it to Facebook Live. Would that be of value?
Huge.
I mean, and so if it would be of value for Tina, and then doing a rent versus own or a move up analysis for your past clients right now, that's what she wants. You know, other realtors that say, hey, I want $5,000 a month for Zillow leads. Come on, man. Anybody can do that. And I don't think that's something that you're looking for. I think you're looking to go deeper with clients. And so, God, man, I would listen to this interview multiple times, take notes like I have. And I'm going back. I'm failing right now with my realtors. I'm listening to you going, I'm missing it on a couple of different levels. So great job. My one question for you, which I loved seeing that Facebook group, because you're consistently getting 135 to 165 views. That's incredible. Because if you look at the algorithm just in general on Instagram or our personal Facebook pages, it's not even close to that. So when you are posting in that group, are you, and I don't know this, I'm just asking you, is there a way to look at the analytics kind of behind the scenes, go, okay, who's looking, who's not? What percentage am I reaching, male, female, age, all that stuff like Facebook has? Or do you even care about any of that stuff with the group?
Yeah. So I just clicked into like clarify, and yes, I can literally see, like, there's this post from a while ago, seen 109 and who, not seen 128 and who. Oh, that's so funny. My husband's at the top of the list. That proves my point. But anyway, but yeah, so I think there's group analytics. Yeah. Group insights that, I haven't spent enough time in. This is your area of expertise.
Well, I can weigh in that because at Mortgage Coach, we have this Facebook group that we put a lot of love and energy into. And yeah, you can see the top post. You can, look at it based off of likes, comments, engagements, views, who your top contributors are, all the analytics on membership growth. There's a lot back there. So
yeah,
it's super powerful.
It's all in there now that I'm looking. Thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem. So Tina, what about this? Because Dan is part of the American Dream show. I've been an ambassador of that. Craig is a longtime friend of mine, and I think he creates some of the best content in mortgage and real estate. And I know I don't know if I've ever introduced you, but I know you said at some point you want to consider being part of that. What about loan officers coming to you on media, helping you create media and get distribution around media? Is that something you see a lot of value in?
Oh my gosh, that's like next level. So yeah, I mean, that's part of why I'm here, right? Is like you came to me with this opportunity to be featured and share my experience. And I was like, yes, thank you. Like, I know maybe being on video isn't comfortable for everybody. And sometimes people ask, like, how are you so good on video? And I'm like, well, if I think about it, when I started building the brokerage in 2016, I signed up for Viral, and I had a video appointment twice a month. And I did that for like a year and a half. And then I just moved on to other stuff. But like, I just did tons of video. And then I got really comfortable and it just got better and better. So just kind of an encouragement there that that's how you get good on video. So when people invite you, say yes. And if you can make those connections, and, you know, any opportunity, I feel like, is an opportunity to sharpen your saw in that realm.
No doubt. Dan, tell me if you agree with what I'm going to say, but if you are a mortgage professional and you are not creating media, Zoom, video, Facebook Live, it's just a missed opportunity. And in this community, we give you a lot of content to do it yourself. And then we also have experts. Bill Hillstad will help you get massive distribution either through his classes, Craig Sewing and the American Dream Network. If you read the article towards the bottom of it, he's got a new product called Elevate. So previously, the only way you could get into the American Dream Show was there was one lender for Seattle, and that's Dan Keller, one lender for Phoenix, that's Kelly Zitlow, and then they pick 10 realtors that are on their team. But now with Elevate, you can just sign up on your own and get that same concierge to shoot great video, edit great video, and get distribution. So check that out in the link. I'll put it in both channels. But Dan, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, I know you agree because you invest heavily, but give some perspective on that.
I think people like me and Tina, we do video a lot just with our smartphone or with our cameras, like you do on your private page, and then just in general. There comes a time, I think, in a professional's life where you've kind of got to take the next steps, next level, especially with video. And that's really what the American Dream has pushed me to do. I mean, behind me, I'm in my office right now. It's empty due to COVID, but I have a full media room. All the walls are green. American Dream came in and built it out for me. So I have studio quality cameras, audio, everything, lighting. And so it's something that I think as you evolve as a professional in 2020 and beyond, I think you need to invest heavily in how you're presenting media. What quality of media are you presenting, both from a content and then a quality? That's why I've invested heavily in American Dream for video and audio. I've invested heavily into Renee Rodriguez so that I can speak better, so that I can create a better message, so I can be more impactful with my messaging. So 100% double down on that moving forward. That's like my best advice right now in regards to media and video.
Yeah, and guys, interviews are the number one most valuable piece of content, because not only are you interviewing someone, you're making them the hero, and you're tagging them, and you're picking up their audience. So make sure you guys read this, make sure you study it. If you have questions or you want to take it to the next level, you can always email me, dave@mortgagecoach.com. So Tina, we are in the last couple minutes. I want to close out with this. Whether it was a new loan officer who's in their first year in the business, or there was a new realtor in their first year in business, so they were listening to you right now, what advice do you have for people that are new?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question, because I think about like the foundation of how I built my business was when I started, I had plenty of time to go the extra mile for everybody. And one of the things that I did in like 2007 and 8, before we had tools like HomeBot and some of the stuff we've talked about today, was I was really involved with my clients. Like after settlement, I would always make sure that they weren't over-assessed on their tax assessment relative to what they just paid. I helped people do tax appeals. I filled out the forms for them. I was really involved with giving contractor referrals, et cetera. The reason I'm saying that is no matter where you're starting, if you're smart and can like just educate yourself about some key things that the layman is never going to know about real estate or loans or finances or any combination of that, and just do these little favors for people and bring things to their attention, you will have their loyalty and appreciation for so long. And it was a little bit of a slow build from where I started to, the 175 units a year. And that's how I did it. And I think that anyone can do that if they want to. So I would say start with some subject matter expertise that you can bring to the table and help people.
So what she said, guys, is be the most valuable. If you're an agent, you want to be the most valuable. And here's the deal, guys. You can do that in 6 months. No, your first month in the business, you're not going to be able to be the most valuable. But 90% of mortgage and real estate professionals, they repeat their first year in the business 10 times, 15 times, 30 times. They don't evolve. And so if you can just evolve rapidly in your first 3 to 6 months, you can be the most valuable. So I love that. Great closing thought. Dan, anything you want to say before we wrap it up, brother?
Genius. Number one thing, you have time. Take advantage of it. Love on your people. I think that's such great advice for anyone getting in the industry. I wrote down everything you said and added a few notes to it. So always great to be with you, Tina. You're such an inspiration, and I'm so happy for your success.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way about both of you.
Well,
and I took so many notes. Thank you.
It was a great conversation. So guys, if you got value from this, give it a like. That's how you can let Tina know whether you're paying attention. If you have questions, put them in comments. We'll still answer them. If you're watching this on YouTube a year later and you have a question, put it in comments down below. We moderate that and we'll get back to you with an answer. Hopefully you got value. This call is a wrap, and thank you to everybody that joined us today. Take care.
Thank you, guys.